Alright kids, this is Mr. Pickett, and I just wanted to take you guys through Blender a little bit and make sure that you guys feel semi-comfortable with using it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a new file. Oop, cancel. Hit new. Okay. So what we always start with is this user face. And this program usually requires somebody to use a mouse with 3 buttons and a middle wheel. You can still use it with just your touchpad, but that might make things a little bit easier. So the first thing I want you guys to do when you guys open this up is I want you to go to File, and then I want you to go to User Preferences. And under User Preferences, I need to make sure that you clicked on Input. And from here, there's going to be 2 things that you're going to make sure that are clicked. You need to make sure that the blue is highlighted on the left, and then you also need to make sure that this box is checked. So Emulate Numpad needs to make sure it's got a check next to it, and then the blue needs to be on the left. And then when you're done with that, you're going to hit Save User Settings, and then X out of that, and then things are good. And so what we're going to do is we're going to learn a couple different commands to help you guys build your scene here. First thing that we're going to learn to do is when I click on this, I can't really click out of it, but I can click on the camera, and I can click on the cube. I can just select different objects. If I hit X, that's going to allow me to delete that specific cube. All right, I've got to click and delete it. What we're going to do from here is we're going to add a sphere, because that is probably the closest thing to a planet that we can possibly have. And it's always going to place it right in the center for us by default. And so what I would suggest you do is you start with your star, if you guys are going to model that. How you add things in here, you're going to hit Shift A, and then Mesh will come up, and we're going to add a UV sphere. So there we have a sphere. Before you click anything else, what I would suggest that you do is that you come over to the left side here. You change your segments from 32 to maybe 8. 8's probably too few, excuse me. Let's try 16. There, that's okay. All right, so from 32 to 16. And then what we can do is you can add a bunch of things in here right at the beginning. You can give it a size value, and these can be any unit that you want, right? It can be 1 meter, it can be 1 astronomical unit, it can be anything that I want. So I can type whatever value I want in, and then the location is the important thing on here. If you change the location of it, it'll change where it's at according to the origin. So we have X, Y, and Z, otherwise known as Z. So what I would suggest is that you move this thing along the X direction. I keep the sun where it's at, but as you add new meshes in there, which I'll show you guys that in a second, I would change this location. So I'm just going to keep it like this. I'm going to click out of it. I click the camera, click that thing, things are good. So now I'm going to hit Shift A again, and I'm going to add another UV sphere. It doesn't look like I've done anything, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the size of it. I'm going to make it an object that's half of the size of that one. And then I'm going to change its location. I'm going to say that it's 1 away. I don't know what 1 is, but I'm just going to hit 1. Let's change it to 5. Okay, so you guys can see I can start moving these things around quite easily. As I use my my trackpad here, I put 2 fingers on it. I can move this thing around in all sorts of different directions. I can zoom in just like it was an iPad, and I can zoom out. There's all sorts of fun, cool stuff here. A couple other things that you probably want to think about doing is maybe hitting and taking a picture of something. This is your camera right here. If I hit 0 on my keyboard, I'm going to be able to see out of this. What I would suggest is hitting G and then moving. It's not going to let me move that right there. Oh, excuse me, just with 1 finger, and then click. That'll allow me to change what I'm viewing for the most part. And I'm going to hit Escape, which doesn't get me out of there. I'm going to hit 0 again. All right, so that's from my camera. And so if I wanted to, I can hit File. I can go to Render and hit Render Image, and it'll show me what my objects look like. So this is a quick tutorial. Hope that it helps a little bit and gets you guys started making your own 3-dimensional model.